We encounter different kinds of people at every moment of life. Some come into your life to bring light and support, while others live with only one hidden purpose: to weaken you, test your boundaries, and take control without you even realizing it. Sometimes they do this very subtly with small requests, seemingly innocent questions, or words that appear accidental. In reality, all of this is a hidden test. They try to examine you, expose your weaknesses, and then exploit them. The Stoics said, "The power over us is only as much as we allow." If you can protect your inner calm and your boundaries, no ill-intentioned person can divert you from your path. In this video, we will explore how toxic people test our boundaries. We will reveal their hidden games and learn how to protect ourselves using the simple yet profound wisdom of Stoic philosophy. If you want to learn the Stoic strategies on these topics, watch this video until the end. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends so others can benefit too. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss new videos from Stoic Pavilion on these subjects. The games of toxic people rarely start with big steps. They don't put you in a difficult position right away because they know you will go on the defensive. Their method is more cunning, quieter. The first tactic is to start with small requests. For example, someone asks for a small favor. "Can you get this from the store for me?" Or, "Can you cover for me for an hour?" These seem harmless. You might think, what harm is there in helping? But these seemingly simple steps are actually their first test. At this point, they are checking your boundaries. If you agree immediately, a signal goes off in their mind. This person's boundaries are soft. I can ask for more. Over time, these small requests begin to accumulate. The first time you helped for just a minute, then an hour, and eventually you start setting aside your own tasks to take responsibility for someone else's work. Before long, you find yourself living your life for their benefit. This is not just manipulation, but psychological games. You think, "I helped once. If I say no now, it would be wrong." Toxic people know this well. They turn your conscience and compassion into tools. You think you are doing a small good deed, but in reality, you are giving up a part of your boundaries. According to Stoic philosophy, true strength lies in staying faithful to your principles. Seneca said, "If you do not control yourself, someone else will control you." This is a simple yet profound lesson that applies to every moment of life. If a request disrupts your inner peace, no matter how small it seems, saying no is your right. Your life, your time, and your energy belong only to you. Saying no is often difficult because we do not want to upset others. But remember, every time you sacrifice yourself, your value in others' eyes decreases. Setting boundaries, on the other hand, shows strength, resilience, and respect. Here's another example. Imagine a colleague at work keeps asking, "Your computer is fast. Can you open this file for me?" You help the first time. The second time, you help again. But by the third time, you realize they are shifting their work onto you. If you don't say no now, soon you will become the person carrying someone else's workload instead of your own. The strategy of toxic people is simple. Once you allow it, they treat it as the new norm. Start small. If a request disrupts your time, energy, or comfort, learn to say no. This is not harshness. It is self-respect. Setting boundaries is not about hurting others. It's about protecting yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches us that sometimes the simplest, yet most powerful word to safeguard our inner freedom is no. One of the most common tactics toxic people use is testing your patience, their second strategy. They deliberately say irritating things or take actions that hurt you. The goal is simple: to make you lose control, fail to manage your emotions, and stoop to their level. Sometimes they do this openly, through insults, sarcasm, or mockery. Sometimes it's more subtle, touching on your weak points. In both cases, the goal is the same: to see you lose your composure and to enjoy it. Why do they do this? Because the moment you lose patience, the rules of the game are in their hands. When you get angry, shout, or respond aggressively, they have proven, "See, I can make them act how I want." In reality, Losing patience gives them power. Toxic people know very well that a calm, steady, self-controlled person is difficult to manipulate, so they do everything to throw you off balance. For example, imagine a friend or co-worker laughs at what you say, highlights small mistakes, or intentionally interrupts you. You remain silent once or twice, but by the third time, you lose your temper and react sharply. What happens then? The person smiles quietly because they achieved their goal. They provoked you, disrupted your balance, and now you are exactly where they want you. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone angers you, it is your weakness." This is profound because, according to Stoics, no one truly angers you. You allow yourself to be angered. Another person's words or actions are only a test. Your inner calm is your greatest weapon. Stoic patience is not about swallowing everything silently. It is about not losing yourself and not letting emotions dominate reason. This is the hallmark of a strong person. If you can stay calm, the power is yours. You disrupt their game, resist their provocation, and most importantly, you conserve your energy. Toxic people test your patience to weaken your inner strength. Stoics understand that preserving patience is actually protecting yourself. Staying calm can sometimes be the greatest victory. Remember, when people intentionally try to anger you, their real power comes from your reaction. If you stay calm, their plans fall apart. The third common tactic of toxic people is making you feel guilty. They know your weak spot, that you are a conscientious person. A person with a clear conscience feels responsible for others and does not want to hurt anyone. Toxic people exploit this. They try to trigger guilt through statements like, "I helped you before, now you owe me. If you don't do this for me, I will be very upset. If you do this, you will hurt me." Their goal is simple: to turn your conscience into a tool for their own interests. The problem is that when people feel guilty, they sometimes do things they don't really want to do. Their mind creates the scenario: if I don't do it, I'll seem like a bad person. This is one of the most dangerous forms of manipulation. In such situations, you start feeling indebted, even if the other person does nothing. Gradually, this erodes your self-respect and breaks your boundaries. For example, a close person once lent you money and you return it on time. Later, they demand more, saying, "You must help me now. I need this much." They don't consider whether you have the money. If you say no, they get upset. If you say yes, but it's less than they want, they still get upset. They use the "I helped you before" card to manipulate you. Or a family member says, "If you're not with me in this matter, it means you don't love me." Here, love is mixed with conditions, taking away your freedom of choice. Stoics, however, believe we are accountable only to our own values. Marcus Aurelius said, "You are not obligated to carry the burden someone else puts on you. Everyone should carry their own load. If you truly owe someone, then repay that debt. But if someone is manipulating your conscience for their own interests, that is no longer your debt." How should you act in such situations? First, be clear. Ask yourself, what have I really done and what haven't I done? Do I genuinely owe anything here? Set boundaries. If someone tells you, "If you don't do this, you're a bad person," remember that your goodness is not conditional on someone else's demands. Speak calmly. Don't respond emotionally. Simply and firmly say, "I am not obligated to do this." Toxic people try to control your most sensitive side by inducing guilt. But remember, your conscience is not someone else's toy. It is your inner guide. If you are at peace with your own conscience, no one can dominate you. Guilt is only real when you act against your own values. Otherwise, it is simply manipulation and you are free from it. So the next time someone says to you, "You owe me," pause for a moment and ask yourself, is my conscience at peace? If the answer is yes, you are not obliged to carry any fabricated debt that someone else tries to impose. The Stoic approach is simple. Listen to the voice of your conscience. If you truly do not owe anything, no one can take away your inner freedom. One of the most cunning traits of toxic people is deliberately violating the boundaries you clearly set. This is their fourth tactic. They hear you say, "I don't have time," yet they continue to push. The goal is simple, to test whether your word has strength. If you said no but agree a few minutes later, they immediately understand their boundaries are weak. Just a little pressure is enough. This leads to larger boundary violations in the future. Why do they do this? Because boundaries are a symbol of strength. A person without boundaries is easily controlled. Toxic people know that someone who retracts their word once may eventually give in to everything. That's why they deliberately test your word and observe your reaction. If you do not respect your own boundaries, expecting others to respect them is meaningless. Imagine telling a coworker, "I'm very busy this week. I can't take on any extra projects." Yet they assign more work anyway. If you stay silent and agree, they will see you as someone who cannot say no. People who ignore boundaries try to gradually mold you to their will. They know that if you make concessions once, it can become a habit. This is a psychological suggestion known as submission through small steps. Stoic philosophy has a clear stance on this. Saying it once is enough. Epictetus said, "If they don't listen to you, do not repeat your words." The problem is not that they cannot hear, but that they do not want to. In other words, if you have already said no, you are not obligated to explain a second time. Repeating yourself signals doubt in your own words. A boundary is strong only when it is maintained calmly and firmly. When toxic people try to violate your boundaries, they are essentially holding up a mirror. Their behavior tests how resilient you are. If you remain calm yet firm, they will eventually realize that manipulating you is impossible. Remember, respecting your boundaries is respecting your own worth. You must protect them not for others, but for your own inner strength. So, the next time someone tries to cross a boundary you have clearly set, do not hesitate to defend yourself. Failing to protect your boundaries is the same as surrendering your life to someone else. Toxic people's habit of constantly comparing you to others is their fifth tactic. Such comparisons attack your pride, self-worth, and confidence. They may not engage in an open argument with you, but a single sentence can make you doubt yourself. "So-and-so managed this. Why can't you? They did this for me, but you didn't. Others treat me better, but you don't." These words may sometimes seem like a joke, but in reality the hidden message is, you are not good enough. Human nature craves acceptance and recognition, and toxic people exploit this weakness deliberately. Remember, comparison is one of the easiest ways to control someone's behavior. If you start measuring yourself against what others have done, your boundaries slowly dissolve. They simply find someone else to compare you to, and you constantly try to keep up. This creates an endless cycle. For example, at work, your boss might say, "Your colleague completed this task in 2 days. Why is it taking you longer?" The goal isn't to highlight laziness, but to keep you under pressure. Every time you measure yourself against others, you lose a bit of your inner strength. The Stoics taught that a person's value is measured not by what others do, but by their own principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not degrade yourself by comparing your life to others. Your path is your own. Your worth is not dependent on someone else's success." If you are faced with such comparisons, pause and ask yourself, what is my goal? Am I living for someone else's approval or according to my own principles? Does my path align with my values? For Stoics, these questions were essential because true freedom lies in not living by someone else's standards. To avoid falling into toxic people's comparison game, 1. Stay calm. Their comparisons may irritate you, but losing your temper is the result they want. 2. Be firm. Believe internally that your path belongs to you. Not doing what someone else does not make you worthless. 3. Keep your response simple. Phrases like, "I follow my own path," or "my priorities are different," break their influence. Imagine a friend says, "My other friend did this for me, but you didn't." If you immediately feel guilty and do something you don't want to, that friend now knows that comparison is your weak spot, and they will use it again. But if you calmly respond, "This is as much as I can do," or "I cannot do this," They will no longer be able to violate your boundaries. Comparison is often disguised as personal development. But remember, your growth is only meaningful when it aligns with your own principles. If it occurs due to pressure from others, it is not growth. It is obedience. For Stoics, the main criterion is inner strength, not external noise. Your worth lies in your adherence to your principles. Once you recognize this game and avoid falling into the trap of comparison, you become truly strong. Exploiting your kindness is the sixth tactic toxic people use against you. They recognize your compassion and helpful nature, and they turn it into an opportunity because a kind person often struggles to say no. They know this well and use your humanist side to serve their own plans. For example, an acquaintance may constantly ask for your help. At first, small things, a document, a small loan, some time. You help thinking, this is no problem. But over time, these requests grow, and you begin neglecting your own work to solve theirs. The worst part is that when you don't help, you feel guilty. The key is that toxic people see kindness as a weakness. They know you don't want others to suffer, so they approach you under the mask of a good person. You might even hear statements like, "What would I do without you? You're my friend. Friends are supposed to help. I have no other hope." These words are emotional manipulation. The aim is to awaken your sense of compassion and exploit it for their own benefit. According to Stoic philosophy, compassion is valuable, but it must be guided by reason. Seneca said, "Kindness, when given without boundaries, ceases to be kindness and becomes enslavement." This is a powerful lesson. Doing good is admirable, but every act of kindness must have limits. If your compassion compromises your freedom, comfort, or even your identity, it is no longer kindness, it is self-sacrifice. For Stoics, self-sacrifice is not a wise choice. Compassion is a strength, but it is only strong when paired with boundaries. If you don't set limits, your compassion will be exhausted, and so will you. Toxic people know this very well, and as long as you don't assert your boundaries, they will continue to exploit your kindness. The Stoics' advice is clear: continue to do good, but do it wisely. True value arises when your kindness benefits both you and others. If it benefits only one side, it becomes unbalanced. An imbalance is something Stoic philosophy does not accept. Finally, one of the most dangerous and cunning tactics of toxic people, the seventh method, is to target your most sensitive, hidden weaknesses. They observe you closely, learning in which areas you feel powerless, fearful, or uncertain. Then they press carefully on these points, attempting to gain emotional and psychological control over you. This is the most dangerous test because they aim for your weakest moment. Previous manipulation methods, comparison, guilt, ignoring boundaries, are preparatory. Touching your weak spots exposes your inner fears and exploits them. Imagine someone reminding you of past failures or embarrassing moments, or highlighting weaknesses in a relationship that matters to you. Their goal is to shake your self-confidence. Human nature naturally reacts: anger, shame, or distress. Toxic people know that if they can control you this way, they can use your calm and strength for their own benefit. This is the ultimate manipulation of your emotional vulnerabilities. According to Stoic philosophy, recognizing your weaknesses is strength, but never allowing anyone to exploit them is even greater strength. Marcus Aurelius said, "No one can touch you as long as you protect yourself with boundaries." You have weaknesses, but they should never give others the opportunity to play games with you. Your calmness and self-control are your shield and strongest defense. How to respond? 1. Acknowledge your weaknesses. Everyone has weak points. This does not reduce your value. 2. Stay calm. If someone targets these points, do not react immediately. Take a few deep breaths. Do not let emotions overpower your reason. 3. Firm boundaries. By remaining calm and staying true to your principles, you put them in a powerless position. Internal focus. Keep your attention on your values, not on what others say. Targeting your deepest vulnerabilities is toxic people's most dangerous tactic. But remember, weakness is part of being human, while strength lies in not allowing it to be used against you. As long as you protect your patience, boundaries, and inner calm, no one can manipulate you. Stoic philosophy teaches that true power lies in not falling into someone else's game, staying calm, remaining true to your values, and allowing reason to guide your emotions are your shield, your greatest defense. Next time someone tries to touch your sensitive points, maintain your calm and reinforce your boundaries. Your inner strength will overcome all their manipulations. Toxic people have always existed and always will. Seeing through their games depends entirely on your strength. Remember, those who do not protect their boundaries become others' playthings. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true happiness is not in changing others, but in strengthening oneself. Thank you for watching this far. If you found this topic helpful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends so that others can benefit through you. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated on new videos. See you in the next video.